ever found yourself in a situation where you needed to change your actions or your mindset in order to succeed? Chances are you have, because the fast pace of today's world requires us all to be adaptable. Today I'll be talking to Heather Wiley, who teaches sociology at Shasta College and is part of the New World of Work team. She'll be explaining the 4 traits that comprise the skill of adaptability. Notices when things change and sees it as an opportunity. Open to new experiences, including work environments, roles, and tasks. We'll consider others' viewpoints and suggestions to get the job done. Handles normal amounts of stress. Uses feedback in a positive way. Is able to learn from things that go wrong. We'll also be chatting with Ronnie and Katie to get some ideas of how adaptability can be important in real-life situations. So Heather, what is the first trait of adaptability?
Noticing when things change and seeing it as an opportunity. Instead of seeing change as something to be intimidated by or scared of, seeing it as an opportunity to learn and grow in new ways.
Ronnie, do you have any experience seeing change as an opportunity?
Yes, I do. I had an internship at a really big financial firm, and my boss, he overheard me speak Spanish one day, and he said to me, he goes, "Hey, you're 100% fluent in Spanish?" And I said, yes. And then he asked me, he goes, "Would you be interested in going to different companies and speaking to employees that mostly just speak Spanish about, finances and investments and retirement accounts?" And when he said that, initially I was like a deer in the headlights. It was kind of scary because I had never spoken to people, in like a big crowd.
Speaking.
No, maybe like my mom and dad, and that's it.
Wow.
But I said yes. I was scared, but I said yes because I wanted to, make a good impression. Mm-hmm. The first time I showed up, it was kind of fun. It was fun because, it was like 30 or 40 employees, and there I am just speaking about, stocks and bonds and retirement accounts and finances, and they were loving it because they didn't know much about it. So I was sharing this information, that was valuable to them. And, I answered questions and I did it several times, and it got easier, every time I did it. And, I learned a great skill. I learned, public speaking.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like not only were you adaptable, but your boss was, and taking advantage of a skill he didn't know you had.
Right.
Right? And learning this new public speaking skill is going to make you so much more competitive when it comes to internships, jobs.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it already has. Exactly like she's saying, your boss obviously seemed impressed with your ability to be so adaptable, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to make that good impression.
No, it doesn't. No, and the bonuses were nice too.
Yeah.
What do you think would have happened if you weren't able to see that as an opportunity?
I would probably be really scared about speaking in front of an audience.
Absolutely, right? And thinking about how that would have kept you from growing in your internship and then definitely further on in the job market.
Yeah. But I feel comfortable now. I'm good.
You really have a great mindset about it. Like, Heather, what are some things people who have a little bit of trouble seeing change as an opportunity, what are some things they can do?
Yeah, change can be really intimidating. So I encourage making lists. Make a list of how maybe some negative reactions you might have to an unexpected change, but then also make a list of some more positive reactions you might have to an unexpected change to shift that mindset to think of change as an opportunity to learn and grow.
I love that idea. I'm definitely going to try that.
Me too.
Now imagine you had a summer job and you did very well. And at the end of the summer, your boss wants to give you more responsibility. Take a few minutes to write down how you might react if you were intimidated by the new situation. Then take a few minutes to write down ways you might react if you saw the opportunity in the new situation instead. When everybody's finished, take a few moments to share with your group. Which answers come up the most often? So Heather, what is the second trait of adaptability?
Being open to new experiences, including work environments, roles, and tasks.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Imagine a coworker calls in sick and your boss asks you to sit in for them. It's going to be a whole lot easier if you're adaptable to the situation to do that.
Ronnie, do you have any experience having to be adaptable to those kind of changes?
Oh yeah, for sure. My first job was at a movie theater, and I was an usher, and I had never worked the cash register. And my coworker calls in sick, and my manager says, "Ronnie, you're on a register." And I said, I don't know how to do that. And he was like, "Ask someone to show you how." And I literally had like 5 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, to learn how to work the register, because I'd never worked with money. And it was scary because I didn't want to, like, give too much change or too little, or, just mess up the register. And the crowd started coming in, a lot of people, it was a Friday night. And I noticed that most people were asking for a large popcorn and a medium drink. So what I did was I made a ton of medium drinks. Like, I had them ready, and same with the popcorn. I had them all ready so that I could just focus on the register, to make sure like I could take my time and not mess up an order and give the right change and all that.
Well, great for you for jumping in and being willing to not only take on the position, but for being adaptable to the situation and coming up with a sort of process that helped you succeed in that job.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
right?
obviously impressed by your adaptability, which is so important in this job market, in this work environment that's changing so fast, that people like you that are adaptable to the situation have a huge competitive edge.
Yeah, you have to. You have to be. And it's fun to learn something new,
Yeah.
Well,
what do you think would have happened if you weren't able to be that adaptable?
Well, I think my boss would have said, "Ronnie, you may not work here anymore." Because they want you to be able to do the concessions, work the box office, be an usher. You kind of have to be able to play all the roles, because you never know who's going to call in sick, who gets in a car accident, who's running late.
Well, situations like that can be really scary and intimidating, right? A lot of people choose not to take on challenges like that for fear of failure. But if you're not jumping in and doing things like that, what you did, then you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not going to advance in your career.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, for me, I think, the idea of just doing the same thing over and over again is just, to me, it's scarier than the prospect of, failing a few times.
I think it's important to acknowledge the times you benefited from being open to new experiences. Think of a time when you were able to do something new, like Ronnie. Then find a partner and exchange stories. Make sure you talk about how you were able to get over the fear of doing something new. Heather, what is the third trait of adaptability?
Considering others' viewpoints and suggestions to get the job done.
But isn't that cheating? I mean, shouldn't you know how to do your job without somebody else telling you what to do?
I get that. I know a lot of people think that if you ask for advice or help, that somehow you don't know what you're doing. But actually, being adaptable to the situation means asking for information, getting feedback that's ultimately going to help you be a stronger worker.
Katie, do you have any experience where you needed to take advice, in order to be in a situation more effectively?
Definitely. Last summer, I had the opportunity to go to South Korea for a volunteer exchange program where they would pair us up with a North Korean refugee, and it was like a buddy system, and it was, oh man, it was so good. And I thought, like, I'm gonna go in, become friends with them, be like, how are you, how's school, how's family, and just really get to know the person. But we learned that that's not the way to go. We shouldn't ask them too personal questions like, oh, where's your family, or how's your family, because some of them are not with them. And so I didn't want to bring up any sad memories. And so it was really good advice that we learned so that we can be culturally sensitive.
Was that something that, you learned just by trial and error, or did somebody help you with
Thankfully, not trial and error. Our leader actually has a lot of experience with North Korean refugees. And so he was able to inform us on what's more sensitive and what's not as sensitive.
Well, it's really great that time that you did get helpful advice. What would happen if you got a suggestion that wasn't helpful?
Well, not all advice is helpful, and it's perfectly okay to thank someone for their advice and move on. With that said, though, that even advice that you don't follow can be helpful in the future in helping you to adapt to situations later on.
I definitely agree. With my case, my buddy actually was very open from the beginning. Although we were taught not to bring up certain topics, she actually broke all the rules. She told me everything about her family, when she came over to South Korea, the process, everything. And it was really just amazing to hear what she had gone through. And I felt like at that time, she just needed a friend, someone to hear her out. And so I couldn't apply the rules at all because she had brought it up in the first place.
Well, it's really great that you were able to be adaptable to what she needed, that you were ready to be sensitive, respect her privacy, but at the same time, you know, that you let her speak and kind of share an experience with her. Inevitably, we'll all have problems that come up that we can't solve by ourselves. And it can be helpful to get an outside perspective. Think of a problem that you have that you can share with one of your classmates. For example, maybe you find it difficult to wake up on time, or you don't get along with one of your teachers. Then find a partner and take turns telling each other your problems. Then find out how your partner would solve your problem if they were in your position. Maybe they'll have an idea that you haven't thought of yet. Heather, what is the fourth trait of adaptability?
Being able to handle normal amounts of stress, using feedback in a positive way, and being able to learn from things that go wrong.
It's really interesting that you say that. I know for a lot of us, we think of mistakes as something we don't want to do, as something bad. The way that you're saying it, it sounds like making a mistake can actually be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely, as long as you're willing to learn from them.
Katie, do you have any experience needing to learn from mistakes?
Well, my class took a trip to India to lead leadership workshops, and it was my turn to lead the workshop. And after everything was finished, one of the students stood up and said something in Hindi, and I had to ask my translator what he said. And basically, he was saying that I did a very bad job and that he didn't understand anything at all, even with a translator. And that was really devastating to hear because we had done so much training, and so I thought I was really prepared. But I realized that I lacked the application of the training in my practice, which is my responsibility. And so I got to realize that and learn a very big lesson.
Well, it's amazing that you were able to step back and take accountability from something that started out to be so stressful. And how were you able to deal with the anxiety?
To be honest, it was really hard and really overwhelming. Like, I was like, what? What just happened? Okay, thank you. And I just like went to the corner and just, I needed a timeout because it's really hard to take in. But I did pull aside a friend and I confided in her. I told her, like, this is just really hard. And just venting it out, releasing all the emotions, it really helped me to be able to step back and think about what I can improve on.
Absolutely. Those are great ways of dealing with stress. Other ideas might be connecting with someone and asking for advice or feedback on how you could do better the next time. There's all sorts of different ways to deal with stress.
Since everybody deals with stress in their own way, you might need to find your own techniques for handling tough situations. Now take a few minutes to brainstorm and then write a list of a few different strategies you could try to help you handle stress. When everybody is finished, share your list with the rest of the group. Your ideas are important because they'll come in handy the next time you find yourself in a super stressful situation.